Welcome to my home. If you're new here, my name is Karen. I've been thinking a lot the past few days about how I really want to pursue slow living, slow homemaking. I mean, you've seen the effects of that on my channel, where I've been encouraging you to take breaks, to do things you enjoy. And one of the reasons why I'm loving that that's where I'm kind of headed is that it is super hard for me. And the reason it's super hard for me is I'm really type A. I love to feel productive. And I struggle a little that I have a very high standard on what that looks like. And I've just noticed myself kind of spinning out of control lately. Not, we're having a thunder shower, so hopefully we won't lose power. I've been noticing myself kind of spinning out of control lately and having this great tension for whatever reason, whether it's right or wrong, other than dishes, making the bed, and folding laundry. So there's those basics that my family sees me do as like a morning routine. Not watering, no one's been watering for me really. But that someone might pick up and do. They might pick up and do dishes once in a while or those types of things. My husband usually makes the bed. But by and large, when it comes to vacuuming, washing, cleaning, wiping down, deep cleaning, that falls on me. Yard work, not mowing, I don't mow. And it doesn't really matter whether or not it's right or wrong. The point is, it's falling on me. And my standards are high. And I don't mind having a high standard, but I do mind it that I'm kind of working myself to death a little bit, or I'm wanting to, and then I can't, and then I'm upset. So I am really wanting to show you slow living, but one of the reasons to show you slow living is that I will live slower myself. I need to learn slow living and letting things wait and not treating everything as top priority. So I want you to feel a part of the journey. There's certain things I want to show. So this video, I'm really trying to be a mixture for myself of things that need to get done and being delight driven. So we're going to get into my morning cleanup, which was a messy kitchen, and watering the plants, which I was back and forth on whether to even water because it's super humid. We're having a thunder shower right now, so I didn't know if it would rain or not. I could have not watered them, but that's okay because now they'll get watered. But then I also want to dry my oregano and basil in the oven and also disinfect with water and vinegar, clean my pine cones for crafting, and roast my pine cones or dehydrate them in the oven so that they're all ready to go. And I'm trying to balance my life. So the part I needed to get done was really cleaning that kitchen and watering. Even though I do love to water, sometimes it's hard to take the time to water if I have stuff in my craw. And then I want to do the things I want to do, which is I'm kind of in the mood to cook, so I want to make a nice dinner. And I want to dehydrate the basil and oregano because it's been sitting in my fridge since last week. I'm really kind of concerned of whether they're good or not. And I want to get those pine cones ready to go so I can start crafting with them. So come along, let's get the dishes done and the plants, and then we'll check in again and we can chat while I do that too. It's first thing in the morning. I'm still in what I wore to bed, and I am getting all of the lawn chairs put away. They're going to go in the deck box in the backyard. I know we've got humid weather through the whole week, so at some point it is probably likely going to rain. So I thought we're not going to be having any fires, so we might as well put all of the chairs away. I feel like I've really been enjoying my yard this year, probably more than I ever have since living here. And we moved here in 2001. So that's saying an awful lot. But
I'm loving all of the pollinating plants I've been able to grow with the hyssop and the lavender. And I'm actually going to be getting some Russian sage hopefully soon to put back there too. And it will be kind of a lavender slash purple garden. I'm enjoying watering my plants. I definitely have it on my list to weed whack against the house where you see all of that. I started the year spraying down the weed killer. I only did it once though, so, it doesn't take long for anything that you do to be undone by rain and all of the things. So, somebody asked me why I use this watering pot instead of just using the direct hose. And the reason I do that is because some of the plants just seem kind of beaten down by the hose. So I feel like it's a lot easier to be gentle with the watering pot. So I just kind of go with it. And honestly, there is something aesthetic about it. I'm so happy with this hyssop. This particular plant you see, I purchased this year. And my goodness, it is already like 4 feet tall. The blossoms are gorgeous, and every time I go out there, I see pollinators on it. Lots of bees, some hornets, and other little wasps and stuff. I've seen butterflies on it, and every time I come out, I see something, and I really, really love it. Hasn't gotten too eaten by bugs either, which is definitely always good. Some of them have their leaves a little bit eaten, but not too much. So the Russian sage will come out a little toward the front. I'm thinking I won't put it all in a straight line, but when we were in Burlington, Vermont over the past weekend, we saw Russian sage at the lake, Lake Champlain, and it was tall and gorgeous, just like my hyssop. And it almost, my husband was like, "Is that lavender?" No, it wasn't lavender. It was Russian sage. It's also loved by pollinators. Also, deer are not a big fan of it. So there's my two qualifications right there. Love to see those pollinators. I really think drawing the pollinators has really helped with my vegetables as well. And, it's just nice to have them around. Don't we all just love bees? I remember when I was a kid, we did not love bees. And then we realized, hey, we could kill off all the bees and what will pollinate, what will give us our produce. And so then we realized what a benefit they are. So I'm getting the chairs put in my deck box. And for my last declutter, I also put more yard tools in the deck box. And what I'm doing right now is I'm taking a picture. I had a little tree frog in there, and he was like the size of the tip of my pinky, and he was so very cute. I don't know what I did with that picture, but it was really fun to see him there. I'm always seeing something. I said before in one of my Instagram stories when there was a frog between my two windows that I feel a little bit like Dr. Doolittle these days. So many. This plant has given me so many tomatoes. I've never had a plant give me this many cherry tomatoes. It just keeps on. Whoa! There goes one. It just keeps on coming. And the little guy that leaped out of my arms. There was a little gray tree frog in the box, the deck box. And I'm just stopping myself before I promise to give you a shot of the little tree frog. But even though he was a gray tree frog in name, he actually was green, interestingly. So I had started wash early this morning and getting that switched over so that it can be drying while I'm doing my other chores. And you saw me in the intro folding it. So it does come out of the dryer. I did my intro a little bit later in the day, mostly because I was just feeling kind of quiet this morning and not in the mood to be real chatty. So I thought, okay, I'll wait. And then when I'm chatty, I'll do some chatting. And then I can always do a voiceover for you as well. And that happens sometimes. Cleaning is my quiet time. Everyone in the home is kind of doing their own thing and not interrupting me because if they interrupt me, I might ask for help. Then I'm putting in one of our blankets that we put on the couch because one of the cats got it kind of messed up I won't go into detail because, you know, cats sometimes can mess up a blanket and it's just kind of gross to talk about. So just getting things tidied up here, and then I will head into the kitchen and get it clean and set up for the day because it is a hot, hot mess. How much of your day would you estimate that you spend in the kitchen? I have recently thought I should start a channel, a YouTube channel called The Life of a Kitchen, and just film everything that goes on in a kitchen. Because if you think about it, you're washing dishes, you're putting away dishes, of course, you're cooking. That's why you have dishes to begin with. You're reorganizing your refrigerator, cleaning out your refrigerator, you're reorganizing and cleaning out the pantry, and you're cleaning floors, cleaning walls, cleaning the oven, cleaning the microwave, reorganizing spices, getting rid of expired food. You've got the cookbooks. Oh, and speaking of which, Michelle from this My Everyday Wife Life said I should put the cookbooks on the fridge, and somebody else said I should move my microwave to the left of the stove. I am planning to do that. I keep planning to do that, and then I forget to do that. I probably won't put all the cookbooks on the refrigerator because the ones that are on top of where we store K-cups, because the K-cups are there, the little drawer, I don't really need those to be gone. I'll probably put whatever cookbooks we use the most on top of the K-cups, and then I'll try putting the rest on the refrigerator and see how it does. I don't want to put cookbooks we use all the time because my two my two daughters who are most likely to cook in the house are Rachel and Yvonne. Neither one of them are tall, and they both get pretty frustrated with me when I put things high up because I'm a good 4 inches taller than them. I'm pretty sure 3 or 4 inches. So that can be very frustrating for them. So I have the dishwasher filled up, emptied and full. Now I'm just gonna get to the dishes that need to be hand washed, and you'll see at the end of the video. I mean, this is just the cycle of life. Is at the end of the day, I am going to be getting that dishwasher full and starting it up again. But part of that's because I didn't do the supper dishes last night. And so then you get up in the morning, and what do you have? You have a kitchen full of dirty dishes. So this night coming, I was more careful to start a load. We didn't have enough after lunch, which when all my kids lived here, we would definitely start the dishwasher after lunch. Well, I didn't have enough after lunch on this day, but once I got cooking, then I could get the dishes that I was using to prepare like potato salad and the coleslaw into the dishwasher, which worked out great because then you don't have a ton of dishes. So you don't actually end up seeing me doing the final dishes, but my husband did get up while I was watching the gymnastics Olympics replay of them winning I can't talk. Winning gold as a team, the women's gymnastics. So Robin got up and he did the rest of the dishes. And so then I was able to wake up the next day with the dishes all done. So that's pretty exciting. See that mason jar full of green goo, it looks like? He actually is fermenting serrano peppers, and then he's going to make a hot sauce with that. No, I'm not going to eat it. Also, my little flower vase is empty, needs to be full again. The flowers I had in it died while I was in Vermont. So getting the top of the stove tidied up and clean, and then I'm going to get that dishwasher started. Also wanted to say I recently did a worship and clean video, which was something I threw together very quickly before we left on our trip, and I must apologize. Some of you could hear the music and some of you could not, and I don't understand that mystery at all, because why could some of you hear it? I just don't know. All right, now it's time to do some of the things that I enjoy. Now it's afternoon and I had my lunch and I get to play. So I have been really wanting to get to these pine cones. I'm removing any little pine spills that are attached via pine sap, and the lighting is a little weird, not quite sure why, but it gets better here in just a second. So I am figuring out how many will fit on top of this cookie sheet. I'm only going to do one cookie sheet full. It ended up being 20 pine cones, so I'm going to try to remember that. And now I'm just giving them a general rinse. And I had seen the advice to use a brush on them, and I at first I was like, well, the brushes I would have, I would be afraid of damaging the pine cones, so I didn't do that. I'm going to put them in this bucket, cover them with water, and then add it. The advice was a half cup of vinegar, so I'm just going to dump some in. White vinegar is what I happen to be using. And I do notice when everything is said and done, there is still some dirt that could have been removed. Where if I was selling the pine cones, I definitely would think, okay, this needs to be dealt with. And what I'll probably do is brush them before I use them, give them a little brush again, but at least I won't have to worry about any bugs in there. So I would say if I were planning to sell them, I have a little bit more learning to do. What I was thinking of doing is get a hard bristle toothbrush and give it a good scrub with the toothbrush. So now I can kind of see why people charge so much if they're really clean, really sanitized. It is a bit of work and using electricity and definitely man hours, but whenever you do anything crafty, I'm convinced you really don't make an hourly wage that you would consider a competitive wage out in the workforce. It's more like I'm doing something I love and I'm getting paid too. Let me know what you think if you have sold crafts and you have found if your experience has been different. Now, because I had these soaking, and I had them soaking for quite a bit because I had to bring my daughter to work, and because I had flipped my calendar to August and it was July 31st, I didn't realize she had to work because I was looking at August. So I ran out and took her to work. Well, I don't know if it's because I had them in the water for so long, but they completely closed up. They end up taking a very long time in the oven, whereas the directions said 90 minutes. I know I had mine in 2.5, 3 hours. So just letting you know that little bit of truth. And then now I am setting up so that I can rinse off, dry, and dehydrate my herbs in the oven. And I said at the beginning I was concerned this is my basil, and it turns out the basil wasn't good enough. I had to get rid of it, sadly. Luckily I do have more basil, more will come. So now I am washing off the oregano. The oregano was much more hardy and did fine in the refrigerator for that length of time, but I definitely don't want to repeat that. I should have at least wrapped the basil in a paper towel. I could have put it in one of my produce keepers, but I was under the false notion I was going to get right to it, and then I did not. So you let me know if there's an easier way to do this. I kept them on their stems for the rinsing and then the patting dry, and then I'm using scissors to cut the leaves onto my cookie sheet that I have covered in parchment paper. It ends up being a very good thing that I use the parchment paper, because at the end of all, you'll see me fold the parchment paper and just kind of dump it in the container. What I'm trying to do every day now, and I'm trying to perfect my routine, and that is always kind of the downfall of being a creator, is I feel like I have to be kind of like confident in my process before I share, which really isn't what I need to do. I want to share with you my imperfect journey. So what I want to do right now is I want to take some time in the morning. You know, we think of a brain dump. I'm trying to think of it as having a meeting with myself. And before I really think about what needs to be done, I want to plan one thing each day, even if it's just a short amount of time, but something that I really want to do. I consider it play. And honestly, doing this oregano, doing the pine cones is play. The pine cones, I'm getting them ready for crafting, and crafting makes me happy. And the pine cones were outside, they were free. And so it makes me feel like I got free supplies. Then, if I decide I'm not going to use all of the pine cones that I got, I can get rid of them without feeling guilty. I can also use them in different ways, like at the bottom of a pot. I could cover them with wax for fire starters. I could use them, I don't know, mulch. I could just throw them in the fire. I could just throw them in the woods, and without feeling guilty like I have wasted craft supplies. So that makes me feel really good. So this was my fun today. But every day I want to think, what would be something that is fun? It doesn't have to be productive. It could be coloring in an adult coloring book. It is productive because it saves on our mental health. If you were to go out and run a mile, wouldn't you find that productive? And it's building up your muscles, and if you were to go to the gym, we would see that as productive. But haven't you noticed that when we do things that are good for our mental health, we often do not see that as productive, right? So if I'm painting a picture, or if I'm sketching, or if I'm doing crafts just for the sake of doing the craft and loving what I'm doing, often we do not see that as productive. But just as exercise is good for our physical health, so doing things we love is good for our mental health. So, what I'm suggesting to you, not only lean into planning out when you do, like if you do a to joy list, which is when you write down the chores in your home that would bring you joy if they were done, when you're planning out, if you do plan ahead of time, what am I going to do with my day? Please plan one thing that is for your mental health. It could be a hot bath. It could be a manicure. It could be doing your nails at home. It could, all of the things I've mentioned, and I'm sure you have tons of ideas of your own. What's one thing that you could do each day, and you don't need to plan ahead, but plan today? What's one thing you can do that would give you joy? And even if you're one who doesn't write a to-do list or a to-joy list, still think about what is one thing you're going to plan to do. Set an appointment with yourself to do that thing. I have gone to the beach by myself. I'm dying to go see a movie by myself. I just haven't gotten the opportunity yet. I like to shop by myself. I went blueberry picking by myself. Sometimes I just love to go do something completely alone on my own schedule, or it's something simple at home that I love to do. Sometimes that thing might be, oh man, I've really been wanting to weed whack that one spot and I just haven't gotten to it. Feels completely different than feeling obligated because it's a chore that I have to do. So, it could be something productive, but it doesn't have to be. As long as it's for your mental health, it is 1000% worthy of doing, and I believe it makes us more productive overall when we're taking time to fill our cup. Take some time. If you're a Christian, read your Bible, pray, put the first things first. You stay with what you start with. So if you get started with, like I showed you in this video, unfortunately, starting with chores, but I have to say that gardening does fill my cup. But anyway, you get the point. If you start with go, 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 it's really hard to slow down. So, plan it ahead so that you'll do it. If you're the type of person that really needs to, set a time that you're going to do it so that you take the time out to do that thing. Remind yourself how vitally important it is. Here I'm checking on my pine cones and I'm turning them over so that the wet side is pointed up to help them dry out some more. And one more thing about the mental health plan is some of us who do thrive on productivity or feel like we don't get enough done or feel lazy, we actually do need to schedule it, because if we don't schedule it, it's just not going to happen. Okay, so I didn't need to water my plants after all because they are getting plenty of water today, but that's okay.
I have my oregano on 180 degrees. It was supposed to take 90 minutes, but I just checked it. It's been 60 minutes, and I notice that it seems to be done. So I'm going to go ahead and take it out. Now it might be because I had it in my convection oven, so maybe that makes it faster. It could be the amount of oregano. I thought it would take the full 90 because it went in there wet. I mean, I patted it dry, but it was still pretty wet. My pine cones, I know have been in there an hour and a half, but they had been soaked in vinegar and water, so they close up when they're wet and they open when they're dry. Definitely not taking them out till they open. I don't want to burn them, but at this point I'm just keeping an eye on it. It's probably been 2 hours. See, look. See how that is just dry and crumbly, which is just what I want. I had this much oregano left in our oregano container Since this is older, I'll put it on top, is what I'm thinking. So this is an oregano container, and I'm going to put the oregano that I just dried in here. I made sure to wipe this out. So just, you know, keep everything clean. We have this funnel, so I'm going to try that. It has a pretty decent size hole. So let's see if that works.
Can you tell this is my first time? I so want to make this funnel work. It seemed like it's such a great idea in my head. So I'm giving it the college try here. Have you dried herbs? Let me know, or what are the tools that you use to dry your herbs?
I'm using this end of my bottle brush to just kind of like crush it more so it'll all go through the hole. We'll see how that works. All right, not the best. Okay, so some pieces are a little chewy. So maybe I was a little quick to take it out.
The purpose of the funnel was I was really afraid to get the herbs all over the countertop or on the floor and that I wouldn't be able to use it. But in the end, putting the bottle on the parchment paper was just as good.
Now I'm going to squeeze it with my fingers and see how that works. I don't know if it doesn't smell as strong as I thought or if I just can't smell it over the pine cones. Look at that little bit, but every bit counts. But look, the difference in color between fresh and store-bought. We decided to just mix them together. I've decided I'm going to put the pine cones in the convection oven, and maybe that will hurry up that process. And while that's happening, I really want to make a potato salad, and I also want to try a new coleslaw recipe because I would really like to start making my own coleslaw. And I liked this one because it uses honey instead of sugar. So for supper, we're going to have the chicken legs that I got on discount. What were they, 99 cents a pound or something? $1.50 at the most. And potato salad and coleslaw. And maybe I'll saute some zucchini and summer squash because I have like a small piece of zucchini, but it's fat. And then I have one summer squash. And I know there'll be 4 of us tonight for dinner. So I feel like it'll be enough for 4 people. I could even throw some carrots in there. I don't know, because I'll have carrot in the coleslaw as well. I'm really trying to just utilize and make sure I'm looking around, and I was kind of in the mood to cook too. So honestly, banana bread could go down. I don't know. I shouldn't say that because every time I say I'm going to do this too, I don't.
Okay, while you weren't looking, I boiled some eggs for my potato salad. For me, potato salad isn't potato salad without eggs. And I make enough eggs in my potato salad that my daughter Crecia used to call it egg salad. But we all know there's no potatoes in egg salad, but there are eggs in potato salad, if you make it that way. One of my parents loved potato salad with onions in it. One of my parents loved potato salad with egg in it. The one that liked the onion didn't like the egg, and the one that liked the egg didn't like the onion. So I used to make two separate ones or two separate sides. And then I think it was Creasy that didn't like the onion, so then I never put onion in mine. But now that she's moved to North Carolina, the onion has revisited the potato salad again, and all of the onion lovers of the house are really enjoying it. So I always fill up ice around my eggs, and then I put cold water in it to get it nice and cold before I try to peel them, and that always does so much help. And now I am thawing out my chicken legs because I had frozen them so that they wouldn't go bad. As you know, my husband loves to cook, and it is such a blessing that he loves to cook. I actually enjoy cooking too. I do get burnt out from it. It's just that perpetual every night thing. But what I found today is that when I leave breathing space in my day, when I do things I really want to get done and those things are done, I feel a lot better about cooking. And having a plan was a big deal. And for me, if I can figure out what to do with the protein of the meal, the rest of it just comes together. I'm never too worried about my sides. I did do potato salad on this day and coleslaw because I knew our daughter Ava was supposed to be home. She ended up going out with friends, but that's okay. I knew that she really liked it, so I do kind of go by who's going to be around for supper. And yeah, it worked out really great. It reminded me that we really do like chicken legs, and they are so inexpensive that it's well worth doing. So I'm getting the potatoes cut up in the size that I'm going to want them for the potato salad. I can't really remember what I was watching on YouTube. It might not have been YouTube, actually. I've been watching Storm Chasers on Amazon Prime, and I find that's a good one to put in my ears because they just talk, and then if there ever is, they actually ever do find a tornado, I can just start watching. Oh, nope, I can tell by looking at it. It's Jamarel. That's who it was. So, also this morning, did you guys watch Kimmy from the Wads? She was kind of cleaning hidden places, and so now I'm dying to clean out my drawers and shelves. So I'm very thankful for her for doing that because I'm pretty sure in the next couple of days that's going to happen. Here I am with my cabbage. I had bought green cabbage for steak and cabbage. That's what I told you guys. But then that was really something that Yvonne had requested, and she is spending the week with a friend. And so I am using at least part of the cabbage to make coleslaw, and then maybe I'll do steak and cabbage another day. Maybe I'll get another cabbage for that. I don't know. We use cabbage for so much because we love it in stir fries as well. I had this purple cabbage. I think I got this purple cabbage at Farmer's Market. And so I've had it for a while, but when you get something at Farmer's Market, oh my goodness, doesn't it just last so much longer than when you get it in the grocery store? You know, cabbages tend to last anyway, but what a difference. I know I got those carrots at Farmer's Market. So it was great to use fresh produce. That's, oh, I love that about summer in Maine is having some fresh produce. The or the recipe called for 2 carrots. I did a small one and a medium-sized one that turned out perfect. I could have even done a little bit less. And I'm going to shred these, and I'll shred them by hand. My husband was saying next time I do a or a coleslaw, he would prefer that I use the slicer we have, that julienne stuff, because for him the cabbage was a little bit too big, whereas for me, I love cabbage so much I can sit there and eat it raw like someone eats potato chips. I just love raw cabbage, so it didn't even go on my radar. So next time I'll do that for him. And I was enjoying the sound. I have it on double speed, but just listen to this carrot. All right, let's get these pinecones out. Ooh, see, when they dry, they open right up. You know, they're not burnt by any stretch. I'm going to leave them in just a little longer for some of these to open up more.
For the coleslaw, we're going to use 1/3 of a cup of mayonnaise, your favorite mayonnaise, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, and 1 tablespoon of honey. One-eighth of a teaspoon of pepper and a quarter teaspoon, a quarter teaspoon of pepper, 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. And then we're going to whisk that up. And then we'll add it to our cabbage and carrot. And this also, I chose not to use it. It calls for 2 tablespoons of onion, but I chose not to use it. So I'm going to put this in the cabbage and then chill it in the refrigerator. If this will last a week, you want it chilled for at least an hour. So I know I have at least an hour till we eat. So you can stir it all together and put it right back in the refrigerator. Good. Okay. Could use a little extra salt. All right, for our potato salad, I like to eyeball it. I'm gonna put in the mayo and the mustard and the salt, and then once I get that right to the way I like the flavor, then I will add the potato and the onion. I never measure, just kind of, but I'm thinking it's like a 1/2 cup of mayonnaise is what I'm starting with. And then I just give it a good squirt of mustard, which both gives it a tang and makes it seem more eggy because it gives it that yellow color. All right, so I'm going to peel my eggs, and then I got my egg slicer here, and what I do is I cut it with the egg slicer in 2 different directions. So first I go vertically, take it out, go the other way, then it's double chopped. I don't want a big potato salad because there's only 3 of us eating it. But because I got these nice and ice cold, they are very easy to peel. So patience with the eggs to get them nice and icy cold definitely helps. You might notice I had 5 eggs, now I have 4 because I ate 1. Cook's prerogative. Of course, this one's going to fall apart and make a liar out of me. My favorite mayonnaise is Hellmann's, and my husband's is Miracle Whip. So let me know, what are you? Are you Team Hellmann's or are you Team Miracle Whip? So I did Miracle Whip on the coleslaw, Hellmann's on this. It's actually the store brand of Hellmann's, but Hellmann's is just more savory. But let me know what you like better. I didn't have enough Hellmann's for the both, so I thought, okay, my priority for the Hellmann's is potato salad because I do like a savory potato salad. And I don't mind if the coleslaw has a little of the Miracle Whip sweetness. I just added a bit more salt to it to kind of even it out. And then I love red onion in my potato salad. In the dish it's going to be in, then I'll add paprika across the top. Totally eyeballing it to see how much onion I'm going to want, because it does not matter. Do you want to pull me out a dry rub recipe for the chicken?
Which one?
I don't know.
When you see, like...
One that we like.
Okay. Yeah. I'll get it for you. We have the simple seasoning one. We have Tyler's.
Which one does Rachel like?
She likes the simple seasoning one. That's in
do
there.
that.
So, pretty straightforward. Called Last Minute Chicken.
Last minute chicken. Okay.
I will to each and every heart.
I am using volume DC now.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
I'll step
You can sing, I just don't want to get a copyright strike.
Yeah, well, that's a new song, so you probably would. I don't know. Heard it on the radio.
I never measure the paprika, I just sprinkle it across the top. That's also how my mother did it. So when I see it with the paprika on top, it just reminds me of growing up. So this is a small potato salad. I really try not to have too much left over because it's just not going to get eaten. And so while my coleslaw and my potato salad are chilling, it's too early to do my chicken. So I'm getting the dishwasher filled up so that it can be started and be all done by the time we eat. That way it can be emptied and be all ready to fill again. I find that keeping up with my dishwasher really is a mood changer. If I can keep up with the dishwasher and I can keep the sink emptied of dishes, I never feel like the house is too terrible and I feel like I can whip it into shape really fast. But when dishes pile up and the counters are messy and dirty, I find it is just a real mood killer. So it's always good when I can keep that rolling. And I always feel like my schedule is doing well when I have kept that rolling.
Okay, so I'm doing 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 1.5 teaspoons of onion powder, 2 teaspoons of paprika or smoked. I'm using the regular paprika, but if you want that bacony flavor, definitely use the smoked. Come on, baby. This is like, needs to be chunked up. There we go. And then 1.5 teaspoons of black pepper. I'm just going to do like a heavy teaspoon because I feel like with black pepper, less is more. And then 1 teaspoon of salt. They say kosher salt. I use what I have. I'm just going to stir it up and then we can put it on the chicken, and then I'm going to bake the chicken at 425 degrees for about 45 minutes to an hour.
So I'm not rolling the chicken in the mixture. I'm just sprinkling it on and kind of pushing it in with my hands, and then I turn the chicken over. I do it again. I love this seasoning. It is really good on chicken thighs, which is what the recipe called for, was 3 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken thighs. It also calls for a tablespoon of olive oil, which I don't find necessary when you have, darker meat. And it calls for 2 tablespoons of fresh cilantro chopped, which I did not use because I'm one of those people where cilantro tastes like soap. So here is what my pine cones look like when they came out of the oven. And then I'm going to show you what our very delicious supper looked like. It was well received. I threw some canned green beans there. I hope this video brought you some inspiration and motivation. Subscribe if you're new. I'd love for you to be a part of our This Mainer Mom family. Remember, as always, God loves you and I love you too. And I can't wait to see you next time.